Hello students, a warm greetings to all. Now I have been here before you all to teach you the fable titled The Gentleman of the Jungle. It's time to remind you what I taught you the other day. Our previous session was all about an introductory class which could certainly assist you people to get penetrated yourself into this present unit. Now, let's take our view at our previous class to now what were the deliberations made. Taking our previous session into our account, what did we get to see is that we came across the biography of the author Jomo Kenyatta, who hailed from the country called Kenya, and some of the little things were known to us after having gone through with the biography of him. Soon after, I narrated you people a Panchatantra story only to make you people to understand how do all the fables look like. And later, you were insisted the characteristics or the features of the characters or roles that are played by the animals in the fables. Under this, what we get to see is that these animals had the feelings, emotions and the status as well as they are the characters. And these animals are very superior than the other creatures that were found in the fables. Apart from all these things, what did we get to see further is that I told you people another thing, that is what did the present story, the Gentleman of the Jungle, represent. It represents the relationship between the Africans and the Europeans. This is how your present story, the Gentleman of the Jungle, opens up with. In the earlier part of the 19th century, or we can say the beginning of the 19th century, these Europeans made a partition of the lands that were available in the land of Africa and shared them among themselves. What I mean to say is that I told you people in our previous class the fact that these Europeans came to Africa with the objective of establishing their trades. At the initial stage, these Europeans requested the Africans to give them a little space, only a little space. But these Africans agreed to them to give them a little space. They were not aware of the tactics behind the Europeans coming. These Europeans, as days passed by, they settled their life in. Soon after, these Europeans came to know the fact that these Africans were very naive people. They were very innocent people and they were an uneducated people too. They couldn't read and write. And they further came to know the fact that these Africans, as they were very naive people or innocent people, they wouldn't do anything to them, which means they would never do any harm to them. They would never wage a revolt against them. They would never turn their backs at the Europeans. This is how the thoughts of Europeans went on. Hence, these Europeans started acquiring all the lands that were available in Africa. This is how your present story begins with. Here, have a look at the first line that I have written on your board. These European powers were very superior. Why did these Europeans acquire all the land? Is that these European powers were very superior. Before this, I would like to tell you people another thing, that is, at the initial stage of the 19th century, these Europeans started acquiring all the available land, and they segregated or divided all the lands of Africans, and they shared among themselves, which means divisions were made among themselves, which means divisions were made in all the available lands of Africa and shared them among themselves. Why the Europeans could do this is that they thought that their arms were very superior. This is what we can see over here. These European powers were very superior comparing to the other rest of the world, and they divided the entire Africa among themselves. Why? Because is that their arms were very superior, and they further thought that these Africans would never do any harm to them. They wouldn't wage a war against them. They wouldn't wage a revolt against them. That's why they started acquiring all the available lands of Africans illegally. They dominated Africans. This is how they kept exploiting all the Africans. And later, what we see is that here we get to see the ignorance of the African people. The African chiefs, especially the chiefs of the Africans, didn't understand the meaning of the treaties that they were asked to sign. Here, we already came to know the fact that these Europeans had the policy in them, that is, divide and rule policy. After dividing the entire Africa among themselves, what did Europeans do is that they introduced some of the rules in the lands of Africa, and they introduced the treaties as well. But these African chiefs were very ignorant about these treaties. These African chiefs were asked to sign on the treaties that were introduced by the Europeans. As these African chiefs were very ignorant about these treaties, they made a signature on the treaties. Why? Because is that their ignorance. They couldn't know anything. They couldn't read and write. That's why they didn't understand the meaning of the treaties. What was left behind it? What was left behind the treaties? They didn't come to know about it. They simply trusted the Europeans, and they put their signature on the treaties. As a result, or as a consequence of their signature, Africans had lost all their lands. Now, all the lands of Africa were taken away from the Europeans illegally. This is how they dominated the African people. This is how they kept exploiting or discriminating these Africans. And later, what we get to see is that how long could these Africans bear the exploitation of these Europeans? No longer. They thought over this matter, how could they get back their lands? that they had lost to the Europeans. Now they started thinking over this matter, how could they get back their lands? Now, this is the point where our short story begins with. Here, the position of the Africa is as similar as the position of this man over here. The position of the condition or the bad condition or the plight that was faced by the Africans is as similar as that of a man that he faced by the animals. Here, the position of the Europeans is as similar as the position of the animals, which means the characters of a man and the Africans are same over here, whereas the characters of the animals and the Europeans are same over here. This is how the characters, a man represents the Africans over here, whereas the animals represent the Europeans over here. Here, students, you need to understand one thing, that is, you need to keep all alive in your mind. The background story that I told you people so far is not important, is not as important as you people think. While writing your answer in your upcoming examination, you require not to write anything taking any information out of this background story. You need to focus your all attention over the story where it begins. Here, the story of the gentleman of the jungle begins with a statement that is, once upon a time. This is the point where every fable begins with. I told you people in our previous class, this is the phrase or statement where all the fable begins with. Here, in the case of this present story, the gentleman of the jungle, it also begins with the same statement over here. Once upon a time, an elephant made a friendship with a man. Students, before going through this story, I would like to introduce you people the characters that are played by the animals. In the case of the gentleman of the jungle, here the characters are categorized into two parts over here as major characters and the minor characters over here. The characters that are played by a man, an elephant and a lion as a major characters over here. Here, a man, he plays a pivotal role in the present story of the gentleman of the jungle as a protagonist, which means he is a main character of this story. That's why he plays a significant role in making a good and provoking the story over here. And here we can also come across another character over here, that is an elephant. He is an unwelcomed guest to the hut of the man. Though the elephant is not welcomed by the man, this elephant comes over there, which means he comes to the hut of the man and requests him to get inside the hut, to put his trunk inside, so that he becomes one of the unwelcomed guests over here. And we can also observe the another character, that is a lion. He is a king of the jungle. We can see all the incidents that are seen in this case of this present story, the gentleman of the jungle, all that happened only in the forest. In this forest, there is a lion. There is a lion who is the king of the jungle. And we can also observe the minor characters that are seen over here. The minor characters that are played by Mr. Rhinoceros. Here, while talking about the characteristics of the animals, I told you people the fact that these animals have the emotions, feelings and the positions or status as well. Here, these animals are given a status over here. The positions are given over here. That is the Mr. Here, not only the Mr. Here, the character, the animal, that is the lion, is given a position, that is the king of the jungle, and an elephant is given the status, that is the high minister in the forest or in the jungle. Here, the minor characters are seen as Mr. Rhinoceros and Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Alligator, Mr. Leopard and the Right Honorable Mr. Fox. I don't mean these characters do not play a significant role, but these are the minor characters. They have had an impact over this short story, The Gentleman of the Jungle. They have had their own impact on this story. Here, students, let's get started with the very first line where this present story starts with. This story starts with or opens with the line that is once upon a time. This is how every fable starts with or opens up with. Once upon a time, an elephant made a friendship with a man. All these characters, as we have witnessed so far, live their life in the forest. Here, once upon a time, as this elephant is a part of this forest, it made a friendship with a man. Here, when we, the people, think of the elephant, what certainly comes to our mind? Certainly, some notions come to our mind. That is, elephant is a very calm, is a very tender animal, isn't it? It's a very innocent animal too. But in the case of this present story, The Gentleman of the Jungle, the animal, the elephant that we have in this present story is not as innocent as we think. It is a very cunning and deceitful animal. Its wickedness plays a very significant role over here. Here, it has its own tactics to trap our man over here, who is a very innocent man, like our Africans. Here, the animal, that is elephant, is a very cunning. It uses its intelligence over here to trap our man. Here, our elephant, that is seen over here in this story, that is a very cunning one, that is a very deceitful one. It wants to take the advantages of the every situation in which our man is trapped. Here, the present story depicts or presents how a man gets fooled by all the animals who are the characters over here in this fable, and how this man comes out of this situation is portrayed also here. And that is how the tendency of, this is a representation of, the story is a representation of the tendency of the Africans towards the Europeans. In the same way, from the bad position of this man, he comes out. The tendency of the man towards the animal is also portrayed over here. That is similar to the tendency of the Africans towards the Europeans. The tendency of the man is as the same of the tendency of the animals over here towards the Africans and the Europeans respectively. Here, the elephant wants to take the advantages of the situation that the man was in as he got fooled by all the animals in the story. That's why in every steps, in every walk of his life, he gets fooled by the animals in this present story. And we can also come to know, as the story gets progressed in this story, how the man resolves the problem that he is caught is also portrayed in this story. Here, the elephant made a friendship with the man. It established a friendship with the man. And here, one very fine day, a heavy thunderstorm broke out. What happens in the forest is that a heavy thunderstorm, which means it is a storm with a lightning and thunder. It comes into presence with a lightning and thunder. One very fine day, what happens in the forest is that a heavy thunderstorm broke out or begins. That's what we call broke out in a sense. It begins. Heavily, rain started pouring from the sky. And here, in another sense, we can also understand that the rain that came, that poured very abundantly. Heavily, the rain started pouring from the sky. At this moment, the elephant came to his friend, that is, the man. The elephant went to his friend. The elephant, he wanted to take the advantages of the man. That's why the elephant came very nearer to the hut of the man. This elephant went to his friend. He came very nearer to his friend, the man, who had a little hut at the edge of the forest to get the shelter, to get himself an accommodation. The man, who is a friend of the elephant, he has built a little hut at the edge of the forest only to get the shelter. At this hut, this elephant, as it had grown a friendship with the man, it came very near to the man who had built a little hut. It was a very little in nature. Who had built a little hut at the edge of the forest. He had built his house or hut at the edge of the forest only to get the shelter. And said to him, after approaching the hut of the man, this elephant said to him, what had the elephant said is that, my dear good man, have a look at the sentence. You people are advised to take hold of the textbook in your hand. As I start going through, on each line, you need to follow the same line. My dear good man, have a look at the line. How does this elephant addressing his friend? How does this elephant starts using tactics over here? This is the word, this is the praise. This is a praise that we can use this only to our dear ones that are very closer to us. The people, those who are very closer to us, they are addressed by using these words, so that we can understand that here the elephant uses its tactics over here to get the help of the man. My dear good man, will you please let me put my trunk inside your hut to keep it out of this torrential rain. Now, after coming very nearer to the hut of the man, the elephant requests the man, saying that, will you please? Now he or the elephant requests the man. How does he request? Is that, will you please let me put my trunk here? The trunk is that is what we call sondilo in Kannada. Will you please let me or allow me put my trunk inside your hut to keep my trunk away out of this torrential rain. Torrential, which means heavy rain. I told you people earlier that the rain that poured very abundantly, which means that was coming in a very huge or what we call a larger amount of the rain that was coming over there. In this way, as this animal, the elephant, was caught in the rain, it wants to take the advantages of the situation, and it requests the man, will you please allow me to get myself inside this hut or put my trunk inside, only to get the protection out of this heavy or torrential rain, which comes very in a way that is a larger amount, so that I can protect myself, so that I can protect my trunk out of this torrential rain. This is how the elephant requests the man over here. The man, now he observes what the situation his friend is in. The man observed everything. The man observed everything or witnessed everything. What the situation his friend was in. As the man was requested by this animal, he observed everything. What the situation was his friend in. He was a very kind-hearted man. The man was very sympathetic towards the position that the elephant was in. He had shown his mercy over here. He had shown his sympathy over here because he was a very kind-hearted man. That's why the man, after seeing the position or condition his friend was in, he wanted to show his mercy towards his friend, the elephant over here. That's why he addressed his friend over here, that is, my dear good elephant, my hut is very small. And addressing the elephant, the man says that, my dear good friend. He also uses the same words over here, that is, my dear good friend, good elephant. Here, students, you need to keep all alive this statement in your mind, that is, this praise, my dear, is a praise that is used to the dear ones or to the people who are very closer to us. My dear good elephant, my hut is very small. He says that my hut, that is very small. The structure of his hut very small, and it is but there is a room for your trunk and myself. Though he tells the elephant that it is a very small, but I can manage myself to get you inside my heart. But there is a room. We can get to see a room for you and myself only. This is how he shows his concern, he shows his mercy over here towards his friend elephant. After coming to know the plight or bad condition that his friend was in. Here, though he says that his hut is very small in structure, he can't find any place over there. There is only a small gap available in his hut. Though he manages to tell elephant that there is a room for your trunk. You can put your trunk inside my hut. We can manage ourselves. And I can find my place over there, all along with your trunk. You can put your trunk inside my hut along with me. That's what he says over here. There is a room for your trunk and myself. Please put your trunk gently. Now the man allows the elephant to put his trunk very gently, which means slowly. Now he allows him. Now he gives his permit or permission to put the elephant his trunk in very slowly. Now he allows the elephant, and after being allowed, the elephant thanked his friend. Now the elephant had shown his gratefulness towards the man as he received a little space from the man, as he was allowed by the man to put his trunk in. He had shown his thankfulness by saying he thanked his friend, saying, "You have done me a good deed." Now, what we see is that the elephant had shown his thankfulness or gratefulness over here, saying that you have done me a great job over here. You have been very kindful at me. You have done a great job over here. That's what the elephant tells a man over here. You have done a great job over. You have been in a way great favor to me. That's what the elephant say here. One day I shall return your kindness. I wouldn't keep your kindness. I wouldn't return your kindness for a long time. One very fine day I shall return your kindness that you have shown me here. That's what he says here. One very fine day I shall repay your kindness that you have shown at me. But what followed next? Some other things followed later that our man didn't expect. Such things happened after allowing the elephant to get his trunk inside the hut. And some of the things took place later after allowing the elephant to put his trunk inside. What happened next is that as soon as the elephant put his trunk inside hut, slowly he pushed his head inside. As soon as possible, the elephant put his trunk inside, as he was permitted to put his trunk in. Now the elephant found his time. He wanted to take the advantages of the situation that he was in, so that as soon as the elephant hurriedly, without taking no time, he made his way inside the hut. That's why he put his trunk inside the hut, and slowly he pushed his head inside. Instead of pushing or putting his trunk inside, what the elephant did is that he put his entire head inside. Instead of putting his trunk, he penetrated his whole head inside and finally flung the man out in the rain. After getting entered into the hut, what did the elephant do is that the elephant had flung the man outside in the rain. The elephant had thrown away the man outside the rain, out of the hut. Here, this elephant, what had he done to the man is that this elephant pushed the man outside of the hut and he made the man to stand in the rain. This is how he took the advantage of the situation that he was in. Now this elephant enforced the man to go out of his own hut. This is how the Europeans, after coming into the lands of Africa, they illegally acquired the lands of Africans. In the similar way, the animal elephant, after being allowed by the man, the animal elephant, he got acquired the hut over here. After being allowed only to put his trunk inside, now he penetrated his whole head inside, and the elephant had thrown the man out of the hut and made it to stand in the rain. That is what Europeans did to the Africans over here. And lay down comfortably inside the man's hut, inside his friend's hut, saying, and later, after pushing the man outside of the hut, what did the elephant do is that it laid down comfortably inside the hut. Now, he laid down, in a sense, he sat down inside the hut very comfortably as he pleased, and said that, my dear good friend, your skin is harder than mine. What a statement he has given over here. My dear good friend. Now have a look at the statement that he has produced over here. On addressing his friend, the man, my dear good friend, your skin is very harder than mine. No one believes this, isn't it? Is the man's skin very harder than the elephant? No, certainly not. This is the very contradictory statement given by the elephant over here. My skin, your skin, very harder, your skin is a very toughest one than mine. And as there is not enough room for both of us, you can afford to remain in the rain while I am protecting my delicate skin from the hailstorm. What does this elephant say is that there is no enough room, there is not enough room available in this little hut. Already we have witnessed a little space is available inside this hut. It is left to me only. The entire space is occupied by me as I put my entire head inside this hut. Here is no space at all available, so that there is not enough space or room for both of us to live our life, to get both of us in. There is no room for both of us, and you can afford to remain in the rain. You can manage yourself to stand in the rain, as your skin is very harder than mine. You can manage yourself to stand yourself in the rain while I am protecting my delicate skin. My skin is very soft and tender, so that I will be inside this hut. This is what this elephant say here. While I am protecting my delicate skin from the hailstorm. Hailstorm, in a sense, it is a weather condition in which the hail falls down. The hail falls down, which means alikallu, what do we call in Kannada? what we call in Kannada, I am protecting my delicate skin or smooth skin from this hailstorm. Meanwhile, at the same time, you manage yourself to stand outside of this earth and stand in the rain. Why? Because is that your skin is very harder than mine. The man, seeing what his friend done to him, started to grumble. Now the man couldn't bear what had the elephant done to him. Now the man couldn't tolerate what had the elephant done to him. Now the man couldn't bear the position that he was in. He was made to stand outside in the rain by the elephant after acquiring the entire hut, after putting his head inside this hut. After acquiring the entire hut, the man was made to stand in the rain, so that the man, seeing what his friend done to him, now the man had completely observed what his friend elephant done to him, what the elephant did to him. Now the injustice was made by the elephant. He illegally acquired or occupied the man's hut. This is what the Europeans did to the Africans over there. Here, the man, seeing what his friend had done to him, started to grumble. Now the man couldn't bear the injustice that was done to him, so that the man started grumbling, which means he started whispering all alone. Now he started complaining. That's what we call complain. We can say gonogu in Kannada. The man started whispering. He started complaining against this elephant as he acquired the man's hut. The animals in the nearby forest heard the noise. All the animals that were seen in the forest, all of them heard the noise. They listened to the noise of the man as he started to grumble. As there was so much of noise, all the animals listened, or they heard the noise that was coming out from the man as he made a lot of noise, as he made a complaint against this elephant. So all the rest of the animals heard the noise coming out of the man as he started murmuring there, and came to see all of the animals came to see what was the matter. As all the animals received the noise coming out of the man, they came to see. They came to the place where the noise was coming out. They came to that direction, and they came very near to the man only to see what was the matter. With the mere curiosity, all the animals came over there only to know what was the matter. All the animals stood around listening to the heated argument between the man and his friend. All the animals, they simply stood listening to the man's and the elephant's heated argument. And both of them, both the man and the elephant, started complaining each other. They started quarreling each other. This is what happens in our society too. When two persons start quarreling each other, when they start fighting each other, the rest of the people, one who observe their fighting, they simply stand all around these two persons, and they would witness what might happen between these two persons, and they would get enjoyment in this way. This is what happens in the forest as well. All the animals, they simply stood all around the elephant and the man, listening to the heated or hot argument. There were the arguments in between the man and the elephant against each other. They put their arguments each other. Many deliberations were made between the man and the elephant. And this is what happened over there. All the elements, they simply stood listening to the hot arguments between the man and the elephant. In this turmoil, there was a turmoil in the sense it is a situation where the disturbance takes place. It is the situation where the disturbance is seen. In this situation, in this turmoil, in this disturbance, as the man and the elephant made a lot of noise, the lion, who was the king of the forest, came roaring. How did the elephant come over there? The elephant came to the place roaring. The king of the jungle came all along the way roaring and said in a very loud voice, in this turmoil, in this disturbance, the lion came to the place roaring, and he, in a very loud voice, he said, the king of the jungle, the lion, he said to all the members, all the animals who stood there, don't you all know that I am the king of the jungle? What the king said is that, don't you all know I am the king of the forest? Now, the king of the jungle, the lion, in a very loud voice, he said to them that, don't you all know, aren't you aware of the fact that I am the king of the jungle? This is what the king of the jungle said to all the animals. And how dare anyone disturb the peace of my kingdom? Here, the king or the lion further said that, how dare anyone to disturb the peace of my kingdom? Here, in this kingdom, in this territory, in this forest, he wanted to maintain the peace and tranquility. As he had this objective in his mind, he asked every animal, as they gathered all around the man and the elephant, he asked in a low voice, he asked all the animals in a loud voice that, how dare anyone to disturb the peace of my kingdom? How do you people get the courage to disturb or to spoil or to destroy the peace of my kingdom? This is what the lion said to all the animals there. Students, let us stop over here. I thank you all for listening to me all through the way. Thank you.